We are live.
All right. Good evening. This is the September meeting of the Village of New Paltz Environmental Policy Board. My name is Ted Nitz. I'm the chair of the Environmental Policy Board. I'll allow the other members to introduce yourselves. This is our meeting for September 8th, 2020, starting at 6:30 p.m. Rachel, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Rachel Lagodka, EPB member and so-called secretary, although I don't have to do anything about it unless our real secretary doesn't show up.
Oh no.
Which never happens.
And I'm Fiona Bowen. I'm also a member of the EPB.
Excellent. And then the others who are here this evening. Ariana, you want to introduce yourself, and then the others can follow?
Sure. My name is Ariana Basco. I guess I'm actually the secretary for the EPB. I am the minute taker for the EPB, employed by the village.
I'm Annabelle Evans, although I realize my name's under Phyllis Evans because I'm using my mother's computer, and I'm a researcher for the EPB.
My name is Riley Corzine. I'm also a researcher for the EPB.
My name is Allie Bell. I am a new researcher. This is actually my first meeting, so hello, everybody.
Excellent. Welcome. I'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. At the first of the meeting, we always give the opportunity for the public to comment. If anyone would like to make a comment as a member of the public, they're more welcome. I'll ask Ariana to put in the chat box the email address for the Environmental Policy Board. The public is always invited to send in comments at any time to the email address that's provided as part of that notice. Administrative actions. The agenda went out earlier today. Are there any changes or any additions, subtractions to the agenda, or I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the agenda as sent out earlier this evening. All those in favor say, or any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Hi.
Or a wave. Yeah. All right. All right. The last meeting that we had, we did not have a quorum, but then we had a special meeting scheduled, and I didn't have the date for it at the time. Ariana, can you fill us in when the date was, and then the minutes for that have been distributed?
I think it was August 24th was the second try for the meeting in August. So
Yeah.
that was a Monday.
So we had minutes that were prepared for the August 24th meeting. It was a special meeting on a couple of topics. I've had a chance to read through it. I think they're fine. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes from the special meeting on August 24th.
Seconded.
Okay.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Rachel, can we get an aye from you or a nay?
Aye. Yes, aye.
All right. Then approved. There are no claims or payment claims for this evening. Any announcements that anyone would want to make? General nature, environmental nature, helpful nature?
No.
All right. Okay, the next item on our agenda is actually, I'm gonna go ahead and share the screen with the agenda. Okay, all right. I assume all you guys can see that. If there's any problems, please note that in the chat box. The next item on our agenda, as you can see then, is the Village Planning Board update and discussion. This is usually a topic that Don provides with us. He is our chosen liaison from the Environmental Policy Board to the Planning Board. We offer assistance and advice to the Planning Board on environmental matters. Ariana or anyone else, you want to give us, or do we have just a quick update, anecdotal from that meeting? Don's not available. He's on vacation this week.
Yes, I was present at the last few meetings. I think there was only one though, actually, in between the 24th and now. The big thing, obviously, that we've all been talking about is the LALO group. And all of you should have received the email with Don's update, which I added to. They submitted a short environmental assessment form, the EAF, and they obviously need to submit a long version of that form. There's a short and long version depending on what type of action it's labeled as. And so they have not moved forward since then. We'll be watching that, and I'll keep everybody posted, as will Don, I'm sure, as to whether or not there's any action taken. Other than that, from the planning board, it's been kind of really small projects that were looked at and approved. I know the planning board has had, because there's a lot of new people on the planning board, or a lot of kind of less experienced people who haven't dealt with a project as big as the LALO project. And the attorney has been doing trainings, and they are recorded and they are available. So if anybody's interested in learning more about the seeker process, which is, this environmental review process, it's basically everything that the planning board does goes through this, and, takes different paths depending on what the project is. And so that's an enormous piece of what the planning board does. And I think Don circulated or recirculated the Seeker cookbook, which I think breaks it down actually really well. But if reading something like that or looking at it, even though there are like cartoons and flowcharts in it, I find it really useful. But if that's not your type of learning and you want to learn more, on our YouTube channel is the attorney's trainings. So they're all recorded. There's questions being asked specific to some of these projects as well. So if you're interested in learning, it's available. And I can send it to you.
Oh, thank you. You'll send us a link.
Yeah, you want me to do that? I can absolutely do that.
Great.
Yes, I highly recommend it. Both resources are good. The YouTube video is very, it helps me specific to our locality. Plus the cookbook is a good resource for general information like that. Ariana, anything on Stewart's State Road 32? There was a traffic light issue.
As of right now, there hasn't been much movement. I mean, the village board had written a letter to the New York State Department of Transportation in support of being able to move some of the project forward, even though the traffic light issue and what will happen with the lines on that, like on the Henry W. Road, have not been addressed yet. But the village board wrote a letter to the New York State DOT encouraging them to allow Stewart's to begin, and with the promise and the idea that this is something that will be continuing in development. And so there isn't any actual movement on it, but the Stewart's, New York State DOT, and the village board have been working together. And at this point, we have like a really nice collaborative relationship with Stewart's, and Chuck, who is one of the main people representing them, especially because there is a house on that property, which maybe some of you have heard about. It's a Jacob Wynkoop house, who is one of the African-American builders, and it's definitely a historic property, but it's in disrepair. So the village is actually looking to purchase that property, that portion of the property, for $1. And because of the lot line revision that will come along with that, there's been a little bit of a delay in the process, but they still are moving forward with a lot of the traffic mitigation that is going to be happening there. Also, alongside that, there's actually 4 different projects happening on Henry W. Right now. So one of the people, the Alta, I think it is, Alta Planning, the ones that are looking at doing the bike lanes and on Henry W., the company that's been the consultant for the town board on that, reached out to the mayor and said, why don't we make sure that all of these projects are looking at each other and there's coordination involved, since that seems to happen very rarely, unfortunately, in government. And so it's actually a really positive thing that Alta Planning has taken the initiative on that and is going to hopefully work with stewards, work on the bike lanes, and work with the Wine Coop House. And there was another one that I actually am not remembering off the top of my head, but these 4 projects are going to be done in coordination, just to make sure that they all blend well together.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
I had a question about the previous topic, actually. The developer knew that they were going to have to fill out a DEIS, but instead they went ahead and filled out the short form, the EAF. And I want to know what their purpose is in doing that. And I think it's a good idea for us to respond to it and comment on it, because if they did that because they wanted someone to think that these responses were adequate, they aren't. And I feel like maybe we should comment on it, or we should find out why they would do such a thing anyhow.
So the EAF and the EIS are 2 separate parts of the process. This is what I was responding to Don's email with. So the EAF comes first, and that's what gets presented to the planning board in order for the planning board to begin the process. And without the long form, they can't even begin the process. So the EIS is what environmental impact statement is
Right.
what happens later in the process. That the plan
DEIS comes first. They have to make a draft.
Right, but we're not even at that stage yet, is what I'm saying. The EAF comes before any of that.
Okay, so then,
and the environmental impact statement is what the planning board can ask for and request, and then that becomes part of the public hearing process.
Right.
So we're not even close to that stage, because the planning board hasn't even been able to declare themselves the lead agency yet, because they have only submitted the short form instead of the long form. And the next step was that the planning board has requested the long form.
So, but I mean, even so, I feel like, isn't that a response to it in a way, in response to the way that they answer the questions on the short form, on the EAF, that the planning board then knows, can respond to those issues, and so can we. I feel like, we should get a response in early. And I guess that there's just complete misinformation that there was any indication that they weren't planning on going ahead with it.
Well, so I think when Don said that, he was really just saying what the planning board attorney is speculating on, because the planning board attorney was saying that he doesn't understand why they have not submitted the long form yet, since it was requested and since it was obvious that they would need to. And his speculation was that they submitted the short form just to get a buzz in the press. So that, because his idea behind that is that they still need more investors. And they were thinking if they got buzz in the local media, they could point to that when talking to investors. But that's not factual. That's just what the planning board attorney was thinking was possible. Right,
but in any case, if their responses are.
I'm not saying that the EPB shouldn't respond. I'm just clarifying where in the process we are. Yeah.
So go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna, Ariana, just said another way. What they have submitted is a submittal, but it is not on the normal necessary path for a project of this type to be approved. It's a non-submittal.
Exactly.
Right. You understand what I'm saying, Rachel? I mean, it's. I mean,
I'm wondering if I should non-submit a response to it.
I think they're they're entitled to go through whatever bluster they would like to, but until it's in the official process, there's not anything official for us to do. Does that sound, I mean, I think that's where we're at right now with that project.
I feel like we're going to have to respond to it, and we should consider our response. And I also feel like, you know, there's room in the secret process for suggesting alternatives, and I think we should start thinking about them. And I would like to respond to it, but I'll write something up.
I think we should go through a thoughtful review also and respond when it's appropriate. But right now, I mean, there's not an official filing for us to, nor the planning board to respond to.
I hear you, but I feel like the sooner it's not official. Maybe it doesn't have to be an official response. I mean, they are doing something. You're saying it's submitted non-submittal, or whatever you want to call it. I don't know, whatever.
I think the important thing is to note that the process has not started yet, that we're in the exact position we need to be in to be very involved in the process as that project or any other village project moves forward. There are some other significant projects out there that have been talked about, that have been on our radar here the last couple of months. All those are in the same boat as this one. When and if they decide to move forward through the process, we will be one of the village agencies entitled and responsible for reviewing and commenting as we see appropriate.
Yes, I agree. All the other projects, though, are well, I guess if you, unless you want to count however many trees they're removing from Henry W. But all the other projects already have a footprint, so they're not as environmentally as impactful as this one. This is a very, very big project, which I think is going to take up a lot of our time and thought. And I'm eager to get started on it. But you're right, that we have other things to talk about too.
All right.
I have questions about the Henry W. project.
Right now we're on the village planning board update. Is there any other village planning board update items or discussions with Ariana standing in for us for Don?
There weren't any other items of note.
The next item is the awareness and collaboration report from the town's environmental conservation board. I serve on the town's environmental conservation board also. Our meeting is tomorrow night. We did not have a meeting last month, so there's nothing to report from last month's meeting. It was our summer break of a meeting. We do have a couple of projects that are still out there. The Hometown Towers is still working its way through the process. That's the cellular type tower on, was it Jensen Road, I think. And then the Trans Hudson project, the project at the corner of Putt and Main Street that is still working its way through the process also, among some other things. But we'll have a full meeting tomorrow night, and I'll have an update for the Environmental Policy Board at the next meeting.
Ted, if you don't mind, just because we have some folks who I think may not know what the Trans Hudson project is, do you want to give a brief overview of it?
Yes. I don't have the history on it. I'm only 3 or 4 years into being a resident of the New Paltz area, but this is the northeast corner of Putt Road and Main Street. It's currently undeveloped. It has trees, forested area on it. It's been proposed for development. I think in the past it's been talked about being a CVS or a Five Guys or a combination of both. It was halted for quite some time due to the town going through a gateway rezoning type process. I think that concluded itself late last year. And the owners of that property, I call them the Trans Hudson Group, that's their corporate name. They have proposed a different type project. I think it's 4 or 5 buildings, standalone buildings in a commercial type development. 2 or 3 restaurants and or banks, a couple other buildings, and then a proposed restrooms, kind of entryway to or entry stopping post for the Empire State Trail at the northern part of the property. They've moved the trail from along the roadway to along the thruway. They've asked for a couple of variances from the existing town zoning rules. If I recall correctly, they did not want to put a second floor of apartments or commercial areas or a second floor at all. They've asked for the ability to do a drive-through with 2 of the buildings, drive-through restaurant type use, and to use the buffer as an area to put the trail, the Empire State Trail, have them overlaid on top of each other. I don't know what the current status is of any of those right now. They either need the building commissioner, the town board, the planning board, or a combination thereof of those 3 entities in order to have those considered and approved. I am certainly not saying I'm a expert on the issue. If anyone else wants to add anything else or ask questions, we can talk through those. But that's, I think, off the cuff remembrance of the issue as it stands right now. Any other town board, conservation board items? Our meeting is tomorrow night. It'll be Zoom also. Look to the town website for information on that. Next item on our agenda, item 7, is EPB reports from officers, committees, others, things that we're working on as an environmental policy board, either individually or collectively. The first item is plastic bags in the village. With COVID, this issue has been somewhat on hold, but the idea, the effort, the goal is to put together some type of town and village, similar legislation that may be more restrictive or more protective of the environment than the existing state law. It's unclear as if we'll be able to do that or not, but that's the effort. But all that's been on hold with COVID. The next item is residential refuse trash collection contract. That's an item I've been tracking. The village of New Paltz, the town of New Paltz, is under a single hauler for residential trash. It does have significant environmental benefits. I'd like that to continue, and we'll certainly monitor the situation. If we all remember, it's a 5-year contract. I think we're about halfway through, or maybe at least some of the way through. But that contract will come up, and it'll be another decision for the community as to continue the single hauler, or to again have 4, 5, 6 different haulers going up and down our streets with garbage trucks every morning. B City, Rachel, and or others, you want to use this as an opportunity to give us an update?
Is Riley on?
Yes. I'll give a quick update. So not a whole lot has happened since last meeting, only 2 weeks ago, but I have heard back from Cornell. They said they received the soil samples. The results should be in soon for the soil test. And I have pieced together a short letter to the editor of the newspaper that we could send out to let the community know just what we are doing in general. So I was wondering if you would be interested if I share my screen just so you could see the picture that I have and what I wrote. Anyone?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. It says I can't while someone else is sharing the screen.
Here,
That's too much trouble. It's fine, but
try again. I just clicked multiple participants can share
all right.
simultaneously.
There we go. Can everyone see like my whole screen now?
I think you guys, if you can't see it, click on view options and then you can switch which screen you're viewing.
I see the village hall.
Yep.
So this is the whole letter right here. It's in Google Docs. So this is basically a little mock-up. It's basically just showing the ideas for the plants, and then the letter sort of describes in a little bit more detail about it. And I said, if anyone has any questions or would like to get involved, please contact. And then I wasn't sure whether I should put my personal email or if it would be better to put someone from the village.
That's totally up to you. If you want to field the emails, you absolutely can. If you'd like me to, filter them through and then send them to you, I could do that also.
Probably do that. I
okay.
have a lot of time on my hands, so I can just
cool.
Email there.
I have no doubt that you could handle it. I just wanted to offer.
All right. Well, thank you. So I guess that's cleared up. So yeah, that's that. Hopefully we'll hear back from the soil testers soon so we can get right with this project, because I know it's been a bit of a wait, but yeah, hopefully we'll be able to plant in October.
Riley, if I might offer a suggestion, I would use either the Environmental Policy Board email address or Ariana's as assistant village. I think it might be off-putting to some that they see a Gmail address, they don't know who it is, they don't know who they're reaching out to. It's a resource for you, and I think it helps give it a little bit more officialness. That's what's there for. So I'd recommend that you do have either the environment at village or assistant at village.
I think I'll do the assistant one if that's okay. I don't want to make like a huge burden on all of you guys, but yeah, I guess
I have an idea. I make a lot of Google groups. That's what our environment at villageofnewpaltz.org email address is. And so if you want, I can make a Google group that's like bcity at villageofnewpaltz.org. And then it could go, like you could receive the emails, I could receive it. Anybody who wants to be part of the project and be responding to or seeing the emails can be on the receiving end. And that way it has the at villageofnewpaltz.org, but it also goes directly to you, but not necessarily to everyone on the EPB, unless you all want to receive it, of course. Then we could just use environment at.
Well, yeah, whatever you think is best. You think that would be the best option for this?
I think it would be cool because then it would be, it'd be more established as a B-City project in the public eye. And it would also allow for, if there's a future B-City project, it could still go through that same email address. But, I'm not trying to be pushy about it. It's more just an offering.
I think it sounds like a good idea. And I think that the Village of New Paltz will definitely establish credibility for someone who hasn't really heard of this project at all before. So
okay, cool.
Thank you for that.
I can create that right now, and so we could just do you want to do just B-City at villageofnewpaltz.org, or do you want to do like New Paltz
B-City is a good one, I guess, but New Paltz B-City I think is the best because
okay, New Paltz or NP. Sorry to get specific.
NP because I feel like New Paltz being twice in the same email address is a little bit redundant. So if it's like NP B-City at villageofnewpaltz.org, I think that's the most concise, but
totally, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, sweet.
So yeah, just send me that link and I'll throw it in the document and then I'll send it to the editor, or should I send it to you first, then you send it to the editor?
I mean, if you want to send it to the editor and just CC me so that she knows that, it's like officially part of the village, then it'll be all good.
Okay, perfect.
Cool. I love it. I got some clay to make seed balls too.
Yeah, I'll definitely be in contact with you about that once the soil results come in. So good to know.
I'm so excited if you do wind up putting in the dwarf rhododendrons. I love them. They're so pretty. So I think this is really exciting.
Nice. Yeah, no, I think rhododendrons are a very nice plant. I have them in my front yard.
And I live very close to Village Hall, and my landlord has a couple, and they do very well. I don't know if it's similar soil at all, but
Hmm.
fingers crossed it would also do well there.
I'd be interested in what variety exactly that they have because, um, but no, I'm definitely gonna do. That's definitely an option that I'm looking forward to because it does like acidic soil, so we can put it right next to the blueberries with the pine needle mulch. But of course, that's logistics I've went over last meeting. So
While I'm creating this group, I just want to ask if there's anyone else present in this meeting who'd like to receive these emails. Rachel, I assume you would like to?
Yes.
Cool. If there's anyone else, speak up, feel free. Okay, cool. If you change your mind, you can let me know anytime.
Rose could be on it too because she's the town bee city person.
Cool. I love that.
That's a good idea. All right. Any other Bee City news or Village Hall? I mean, we'll go ahead and cover the topic now. Well,
that's
the
it
next one on the agenda
for
Okay.
now.
All right.
Thank you.
So that covers both Bee City and the Village Hall Ecoscaping project. Thank you for working real hard on that. The next topic is composting the village. Fiona and Annabelle.
Yeah, so I also just wanted to mention before I get started that I will be joining, thanks to Ariana, the Drinking Water Source Protection Program Stakeholders Group. And there's a meeting this Thursday that I hope that I'll be able to participate in. So I'm hoping that I can report shortly with some information from that. And Ariana also passed along I guess you'd call it a grant through the New York State Pollution Prevention Institute, where they would reimburse up to 44% of an equipment cost related to municipal composting. And so, as you guys all know, at the moment, the focus has really been the project with the temporary dining setup by the post office. But I'm hoping as the water, or sorry, not the water, as the weather cools down, I can sort of shift my attention more towards this and longer term solutions, as I assume that as people no longer want to eat outside, we'll probably have to change gears. So that's what I'm looking at right now. But for the time being, just sort of keeping going the current project.
Are you talking about the reservoirs up on near Canaan Road? I can't remember what that.
Mountain Rest.
Yeah, Mountain Rest Road. Is that what you're talking about? Those.
So I'm not sure what the focus of the group will be. I'm hoping to learn more about that, unless Ariana, you happen to know if that's one project that they're planning on focusing on.
Which source are they protecting? I guess that's what I'm asking.
So the project is about the creation and protection. And so it's, we finally have, there isn't a source that's selected yet, basically. It's going to be probably all of them. And just so everybody knows, Ted, Fiona, and Annabelle are all going to be participating in this.
Okay.
Yeah, as I understand it, it's more of a holistic view of the protection of source waters in general for the community, but we'll find out more on Thursday.
Right.
Yeah, this is a bit of a pilot project. We are one of a few communities that the state has reached out to and selected to do this. It probably in part because we've already been working on creating our own local sources of water and becoming a more resilient community in this way. And so, now the state is going to be giving us funding and resources to help us actually do that and protect those sources.
All right. Fiona or Annabelle, any other composting in the village topics? Any questions for them?
I have nothing else to add either. I've been a tad out of the loop, so because this summer's been really crazy for me, so I'm happy to get back in.
I can forward you that link from Ariana if you haven't already seen it, Annabelle. So we can talk about that in the future.
Okay, that would be really great. Thanks.
All right, any other Environmental Policy Board reports or updates on topics that we've been looking at before we move on to old business and new business? All right, the under old business was the first topic was reviewing or updating the idling laws and or zoning regarding fossil fuel facilities. The second topic, from what I understand, is not as emphasized, but the first topic from the Environmental Policy Board, I'm sorry, the Environmental Conservation Board side, someone on the town side has been in contact with a couple of people, I think Alex and Julie, in regards to sponsoring or supporting legislation along those idling laws topic. As I understand it, there's a draft state bill out there also that also allows for localities to be more restrictive if it does pass. So that's a good lesson learned from the plastic bag issue. But that's all I've got or I'm aware of at this time. The next item was subject tasks. It is old business. It's kind of been sitting by the side, but it was an effort to look at our own village Environmental Policy Board website to see what's on it, what should be on it, update it all, and then look at our budget and spending and see and kind of report back. No one's really had the opportunity to grab a hold of that and move forward with it, but I would encourage someone has more time on their hands to kind of dive into that. It would be a good exercise for us to look at our own Environmental Policy Board website, see how it could be more helpful to the community. And then also to better understand our budget and spending patterns as a policy board so that we could make room for other efforts like the ecoscaping in front of the village hall. Any other old business? I was not aware of any new business for this evening, but is there any new business? General topic, is there any other items of general interest to the Environmental Policy Board?
Well,
Go ahead.
I'm curious about the trail on either side of Henry W. I've been looking at it, and there are certain trees that are marked "Save this tree," and they look like they're like at least 5 feet out from the shoulder. I'm wondering if anyone's got any like measurements or if there's any like I think, did we get sent plans for that? Did we get sent plans that showed the trees?
Go ahead.
So here, I'm actually going to send all of you the website right now. It's Walk Bike HWD. I just put it in the group chat so everybody can take a look at this timeline, and there are documents on the site. But you know, if anybody wants to learn more about it, this is the place to do that. And there isn't a plan to be shared yet.
Okay, yeah. Because it just, if you look at it, the trees that people have marked "Save this tree," it doesn't look like you would have to cut that tree down to make a reasonable sized bike path. I don't know if anyone else has looked at it, or.
Which means that that tree is likely not going to come down.
Thing. Because it looks like almost like if you would cut those trees down, you would be making an extra street lane or something, you know, which would be horrible.
I think in general, we, there was the map that had the orange line on it or red line on it that gave a general description or a general assumption of what the right-of-way was, but that's exactly why expert surveyors and land surveyors were brought in, is to determine where the right-of-way is and where it's not, before it matches up. I think it's important to note that the roadway asphalt and the shoulders, 5 foot in either direction, 10 feet in either direction, 15 feet, are often not indicative of what the actual right-of-way is and what trees are in the public right-of-way and what trees are on private property.
Well, even if it's in the right of way, that doesn't mean they have to pave it, is what I'm saying. Like,
I would agree. I would agree. I think all of it, is, where is the right-of-way, which trees, are threatened, or which ones are vulnerable. We don't know yet. There's no publicly disclosed plan yet. And from what I understand, the property owners along that pathway would have some of the first views of that plan once it's made available, followed by the public.
I just shared in the chat as well, on the homepage of the website, you can sign up to receive updates and be notified of different steps in the project. So I think if you're interested in Rachel, I would highly recommend doing that.
thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. I obviously haven't spent much time on my computer. I've been really busy. I apologize for the confusion.
Yeah, and I signed up for the information also as a property owner, resident, interested party. Any other items of interest for the Environmental Policy Board? I'll point out that tomorrow night is the town's Environmental Conservation Board meeting. Similar setup to this. It's on Zoom. It'll be available, streamed live. If you're interested, see the town website. Some of these same topics and others would be covered.
Thank you.
Anything else?
Just a point of business. The governor extended the ability to meet virtually. I think only through October 4th. So I imagine that he'll extend that executive order again. But we're allowed to meet in person, but Village Hall is still not really open to the public. So I think we should just plan on continuing this way. And if anybody feels strongly about it, we can try to have a discussion about it. I just wanted to put that out there because that came down the line today.
Yeah, I think it's a good topic. Just as interest, the Town's Environmental Conservation Board, we tried not last month, but the month before, to have a socially distant out in a park somewhere meeting, just to kind of get us out of the house into the environment to discuss environmental topics. But at that time, there was still a number of members that were concerned even being outside might be too aggressive. So as a conservation board, we decided to continue our Zoom meetings. But that could be an interest item for us next month, to have our meeting outside somewhere. But I'll, if there's any ideas, any questions, concerns about that, let me know. Otherwise, I would plan for another Zoom meeting for October, which would be October 13th, second Tuesday of the month, 6:30 p.m. The same place, unless we know otherwise. Any other items? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion, second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded to adjourn. This has been the September 8th, 2020 meeting of the Environmental Policy Board. Ariana, I'll give you a special thanks for being our secretary for this meeting and preparing the minutes. Any other comments? All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.